The Eastern African nation, Kenya, is set to roll out the red carpet for King Charles and Queen Camilla, the first of their visits since their inauguration to Kenya. Now, what is making the headline is about will King Charles say sorry, acknowledge, and apologize for the crimes that have been done by the British Army in Kenya or not? That's what is making a headline prior to their arrival. Hello, I am Mahlet Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from the continent. And stay tuned, please. So, in the bucket list of the king and the queens is, of course, the normal things. You know what the royals do. It's visiting the natural conservation, talking to the youth of the country, and then promoting entrepreneurship. But as I said, what is making a headline is will the king say sorry for what has been committed, the crime committed by the British Army during, the emergency period of Kenya when they were fighting for their independence from 1952 to 1960, a period known as the emergency, the Mau Mau movement. That upheaval essentially led to the independence of the Eastern African nation, Kenya. But it was not just a pure battle or fight. It was really a lot of bloodshed, which including 19,000 of people from the Kenyan side that tortured and murdered during this time, and more than 160,000 people have been have been detained, and of course the victim continued for generation in the country. So the people who are affected by this are expecting not only sorry but also compensation for what has been done by the British Army. But what I want actually us to bring to look at is that it's not only that time that the British have committed a crime. Even after 60 years, Kenya got its independence in 1960, but in 1963. But after 60 years, still Kenya is pretty much under the hold of the United Kingdom or the British government, because there are a lot of atrocities that have been committed by the British Army in Kenya, which is, by the way, permanently based in Kenya. So I want us to look at that. So it's not only for what has been done, the crimes that has been committed by the British Army officers and the settlers in Kenya in 60 years ago, but also the king should acknowledge and apologize and pay compensation for what has been committed just recently, few months ago, by the British Army in Kenya, which is based in Kenya. I'm going to talk about it in a while. That's why, that's the perspective I would like to look at it while we discuss here. Now, prior to, it's next week from the 31st, I think, to the 2nd of November that will pay the visit to Kenya. Now, these are families of the Mau Mau movement who are the victims, and they want the human right to be respected and to be compensated. Okay, now this is during that time, the Mau Mau movement, where as I said earlier, more than 90,000, this is what the researchers' documents show, more than 90,000 people have been tortured and murdered during that the emergency period of the Mau Mau uprising. Now, this is what, the chairperson of the Mau Mau movement in this time, Gitu wa Kahangeri, chairman of Mau Mau War Veterans Association said, the British say they don't do torture, but we, the Mau Mau, now know the British do torture because we have gone through their torture. This is what he said. Now, the second thing, this is what happened 60 years ago before the independence. Okay, yes, they need to be compensated. The first step is to acknowledge it, to say sorry. Yesterday, I came here to talk about the Dutch royals, their visit in South Africa, and how they were booed, how their visit was met by angry protesters from South Africa, especially particularly from the Khoisan tribe. Now, this one, King Charles visiting Kenya, they are visiting their ex-colonies. But I mean, is it really ex-colony? Because so much things have been copied from these colonial power countries. And still, same for Kenya. Now, the second thing I would like to talk about is after 60 years, now there is a British army, just like the US has its AFRICOM all over the continent, the French has its French troops in its former ex-colony countries in West Africa, Central Africa, in North Africa, but now in the Sahel region from West Africa, they have started to kick them out. Now, so the British has its soldiers, its army also in Kenya. It's by the way, it's a permanently, that's what I read from their website. It's permanently based. I mean, Kenya is a sovereign country. Why do you have permanently a foreign military in your country? This is what we are trying to fight. This is what the Western countries, the West African countries are fighting with France, because their ancestors have signed forcibly, because by the pressure imposed by France, they have signed that colonial pact, which includes all military training of these countries. Now, Kenya did not sign one with the UK. So why are you allowing a foreign military in your territory, which is based permanently? First of all, that is a question. Now, secondly, when I go to the crime directly, few months or a couple of months ago, there was a fire that was caused by this British military when they during a military exercise. So this is now in Nanyuki town in Kenya, just 200 kilometers from the capital Nairobi, and more than 12,000 acres, hectares of land have been damaged because of this fire. The consequences even much bigger. Now, this land, the people who live there cannot farm on it. The wild animals are coming and attacking the people because of their food have been gone, and also the secret thing. Now, this have not been told by the British media, but now the more dangerous thing that has been committed during this military exercise is allegedly the British, I don't know if I put it here. Yeah, I have it here, that they have used a white phosphorus during this military exercise. If you know white phosphorus, they are making a big noise that Russia used it in Ukraine. And recently they said Israel has used it against Palestine. Now they're using this. I don't know if they used it those two countries, Russia or Israel, but now the British military office, this is caught by a camera, and the people are also health-wise are suffering with their breathing system and other issues, and with sight also. So those people also needs to be compensated. And now this case is taken to the court in Kenya, but what they are saying is that the Kenyan court has no say over a foreign army Imagine they are there based permanently in a country that's not theirs, and you are telling the government you have no say on this. That is really mind-blowing. Now, this man, he's from the British Army officer. This is what he did on his TikTok or short, whatever, on social media. Look what he wrote. 2 months in Kenya later. 2 months in Kenya later, and we have only got 8 days left. Been good. Caused a 4.5K fire, killed an elephant, and feel terrible about it. But hey ho, when in Rome, huh? You see, when in Rome, what does he well, like? What is he trying to say? Eh? When in Africa, you live like Africans, and Africans are living what uh, by causing fire, by killing wild animals. Is that how we live? The racism in it, and then also the exposing of exactly what they have done. Also, the British government or the military not really coming and acknowledging this crime, but it is now under the court. So this is what the lawyer said. The investigation will examine the activities of the British Army Training Unit Kenya, or known as an acronym BATUK, whose soldiers have been accused of murder, sexual abuse, and damaging land close to its base in Nanyuki, about 125 miles or 200 kilometers north of capital Nairobi. Okay. Now it is now being investigated by the court. So this is what the lawyer put. In fact, if this is discovered then to be true with all the evidence, which is true, but it just has to pass through the court, then the consequence will be really bigger. But you never know, then Kenya might bend again and say, oh, okay, they can, the government might say, still, despite all that crimes committed, that they can stay. So the lawyer also said this will have serious consequences for the defense cooperation agreement, because if we realize that there has been a lot of activity that spits in the face of the treaty, it gives us room to relook at the agreement, said Nelson Koch, the chair of the Defense Committee, and even to exit, meaning is they might that means they might tell the British Army to exit. So I really hope that they take their job seriously, and we don't need foreign powers, foreign military in our countries or in the continent. Now, the third part I wanted to tell you is that, again, a recent crime committed by the British Army. So allegedly, you have seen what, when I read from the lawyer, it says not only causing the fire, but also sexual abuse. Now, this happened a year ago, okay? This girl, she's called Agnes Wury. She allegedly, she was seen gone to a hotel with a British Army officer, but then later on to be found only in a septic hole and dead. Now, this is, you will never hear it. The British the British media never, published this. But this has been going on in Kenya. So this is also handled now by the lawyer. So there are a number of things that they have been allegedly accused of. That is the cause of the fire, the sexual abuse, the killing of wild animals, and other things. So these are the things, not only the historical part, the colonial past and the slavery, but also what is happening currently needs to be addressed, needs to be acknowledged, and also apologize. And then those who who needs compensation. Families of these people needs compensation. For example, during the fire during the fire, there was a man that has been killed because he was running and he was hit by a car. But they never again, the British Army never admitted that. And the family of this man with her two children is suffering. It's basically she's turned to beggar. I have been reading, from what the published articles on that. Now, I want to share with you a young man who is from the locals who lost land, the farming land, during this fire caused by the British Army during their so-called exercise in Kenya. This is what he has to say. Let's listen to him together.
Yeah. The unit is based near the town of Nanyuki, some 200 kilometers, around 120 miles north of the capital, Nairobi.
You might be surprised to find out that his troops on the ground here continue to treat Kenya like a colonial outpost, where they can quite literally get away with murder and destruction. Our hope is that he will not have to visit again in a few years' time to make further apologies directly to us for modern-day crimes committed by his armed forces.
While Charles will be reflecting on that history,
Yeah, so he's saying, I hope he will not again come back, be in a few years to say sorry. So that means they expect him to address this as well. And then what happened 6 years ago with the Mau Mau movement, all that needs to be addressed, apology, and then compensation, reparation is important. That should be on the table. Actually, the government now, the people might not have access to meet the king, or the locals, but the government have to put this on the table. Hello, Mikey. Yeah, so that's it as far as the King Charles visit to Kenya. So let us know in the comment section, what are your expectations? What do you think? What are the issues that needs to be addressed by the king? And what should be also by the Kenyan government should be proposed in terms of, as far as this reparation and compensation of the victims is concerned. Both they're basically, the country is like still after 60 years we are still witnessing atrocities, crimes committed by the British Army. What does that say to you? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe and give it thumbs up if you like what we bring you, and then share the information with others, with your network. That will help us, the YouTube algorithm. Thanks again for all your support. That was it for me, and bye. Hello, Mikey. Who else I see? Royal Nubian. Thank you all. Ciao. I'll see you on the next one.